Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to unpack a really fascinating story, I think. It's about how a pretty disastrous sales meeting actually forced a software company into this huge pivot.
Yeah, it's a case study in how customer feedback, sometimes really tough feedback, can reshape not just a feature, but like the entire architecture.
We're looking at an AI-coached CRM called ThedaCoach. Their initial pitch was, honestly, pretty wild.
Oh, yeah, aimed squarely at the tech savvy buyer who wants things now. They were claiming, get this, a full CRM setup in 90 seconds.
90 seconds. And it wasn't just talk, right? The tech seemed clever.
Very clever. You'd paste in someone's LinkedIn URL and boom, it scrapes the profile, builds a sales battle card, configures the database, instant setup.
Impressive speed. But the real hook, especially for the kind of technical founder persona listening to this, was probably something else.
Definitely. It was sovereignty. The whole idea was you own your data completely. It runs on your own Supabase instance. You control the database.
And they even promised you could audit the core service, the open source part.
Exactly. The MCP, the Model Context Protocol. They were positioning it as total transparency. You could see how the AI handled context. The technical founder they were pitching initially was really buying into that.
Right. The philosophy seemed aligned. Data ownership, transparency.
Totally. So this founder is basically ready to go, run the setup scripts. But then just before hitting go, they ask the killer question.
The one that changes everything.
Security. Specifically, key management. How is my access actually protected?
And this wasn't just any buyer, right? They were sharp. They didn't jump straight to security, did they?
No, that's a good point. They started broader, asking about practical stuff like, okay, how do you handle custom fields? What about complex API integrations? Real-world CRM needs.
And ThedaCoach had an answer for that.
They did, and it was a strong one. They explained it all runs on top of large language models like Claude. So the user just tells Claude, hey, connect this API, and it generates the code, deploys the connector.
While maintaining that data ownership principle.
Crucially, yes, the data stays yours, controlled by you throughout. That part was solid.
Okay, so far so good. Then came the pivot.
The founder says, essentially, okay, I own the data. How is the key that accesses my database handled? What's that setup script really doing with my credentials? Is it zero trust?
They wanted full client-side key control. Can you break down what that actually means, zero trust, in this context?
Sure. It means the secret key, the password, basically, for accessing their database never leaves their own computer. It stays in the browser's local storage or memory.
It's never sent to ThedaCoach's servers, ever.
Exactly. That's the core of zero trust key management here. You're not trusting the vendor's server security for your primary key.
Got it. And this is where ThedaCoach's initial business model kind of stumbled.
Stumbled hard. They told the founder, well, yes, you can inspect the MCP service code even on a free account. Transparency was there, technically.
But
that zero trust key management, where the key never leaves your machine, that specific feature was locked behind their custom enterprise plan.
okay, and how much was that plan?
More than $2,500 a month, $2,500 plus.
Ouch. So the core promise of sovereignty.
Was effectively an upsell, yeah. The founder's reaction was immediate. Something like, wait a second, full key control is only on the $2,500 plan. That changes absolutely everything.
I need security baked in from the start, not priced like some luxury add-on.
Precisely. And the call ended pretty much right there. Founder walked away.
Wow. And the internal takeaway from that failed call.
It became legendary, apparently. The distilled lesson was stark. If security isn't default, it's not secure. They realized they'd marketed a philosophy, then tried to charge extra for it.
That's a fundamental mismatch. Selling trust, but gating the mechanism of trust behind a huge paywall. So let's talk about why they thought that initial approach would work. The sales strategy piece.
Right. Looking at the call notes, it seems they attempted to use the challenger sale methodology. It's a popular technique.
Where you challenge the customer's assumptions, try to reframe their thinking.
Exactly. They tried to argue that, well, for things like accessing your CRM on your phone, for that convenience, they had to encrypt the key on their servers. They were essentially challenging the founder's assumption that top-tier security and mobile convenience could easily coexist without this trade-off.
Trying to challenge a core value like zero trust security, that feels risky.
Extremely risky, and in this case, it backfired badly. The challenger sale can be great for, say, showing someone a process they assume takes a week can actually be automated. unexamined business assumptions.
But not for deeply held principles.
Right. It becomes, well, almost toxic when you use it to dismiss something the customer sees as non-negotiable. And for this technical founder, zero trust wasn't just a preference, it was foundational.
So when Theta Coach called Zero Trust a premium ask,
They fundamentally misunderstood their buyer. They weren't selling architecture anymore, they were selling distrust. They lost the sale because they treated a core security principle like a feature upgrade.
you just can't position the very thing that ensures data sovereignty as a luxury item, especially not for $2,500 a month.
Absolutely not. It signals you don't truly grasp their threat model or their values. You have to make that level of security accessible, preferably the default.
Okay, but hang on. Making such a massive architectural change, rebuilding their security model based on one lost deal that sounds incredibly expensive and maybe even like an overreaction. Was it just about philosophy, or was there a bigger business calculation?
That's a really important question. It was painful, no doubt, expensive, time-consuming, but they had a realization that one founder wasn't just one lost deal.
They represented a whole segment.
Exactly. They represented potentially every serious technical buyer, especially in enterprise, fintech, healthcare, any regulated industry. If they couldn't meet that high bar for security and sovereignty, they'd be locked out of those massive markets forever.
So the pivot wasn't just defensive, it was an investment in future market access.
Precisely. Security wasn't just a cost center they had to grudgingly address. They realized it could be their unique selling proposition, their competitive moat.
Okay, that makes more sense strategically. So they decided to embrace the objection, turn it into a strength. How did they redesign things?
They came up with a really elegant solution, actually. 3 clear tiers of security, basically letting the customer choose their own level of paranoia, as they put it.
Pick your paranoia level. I like that. Let's break down these tiers, starting with Tier 1, the standard or convenience option.
Right. Tier 1 is essentially their original model, but now positioned, honestly. Key storage. It's encrypted AES 256, but yes, it's stored on their servers.
Which enables full web and mobile access easily.
Exactly, the convenience factor. And they're upfront about it. They say, look, this is the same security model you get with Salesforce, HubSpot, Stripe. If you trust them, you can trust our standard tier.
And the price for this.
Free, which is key.
Yeah.
Sets a low barrier, manages expectations clearly.
Okay, that's transparent. But it doesn't solve the original problem the founder had. That leads us to Tier 2, the paranoid tier. This is the interesting one.
This is where the genius lies, I think. It's positioned as the recommended default for anyone serious about security but maybe still needing some flexibility. They call it the compliance-friendly option.
How does it work? Is the key still on their server?
Yes, the key is still encrypted on their server to allow some access, like read-only mobile views, perhaps. But, and this is crucial, the key itself is neutered. It uses restricted row-level security, RLS.
Okay, RLS. For listeners maybe not deep in database tech, what does row-level security actually do here? How does it restrict the key?
Good question. Think of it like this. Instead of giving the application a master key to the whole database, RLS builds rules directly into the database that say this specific key can only touch these specific rows or columns in this specific table.
So the restrictions aren't just in the app's code, which could potentially be bypassed.
Exactly. The restrictions are enforced at the database level itself. The key's power is microscopically small by design. You're trusting the database architecture and cryptography, not just Theta Coach's application logic.
So they let you verify this.
Yes. That's key for the technical buyer. You can audit the actual SQL script that creates this restricted database role. It literally spelled out what the key cannot do.
Okay, let's hear the limitations. What can't this paranoid tier key do?
It's explicitly forbidden from doing anything catastrophic. It cannot drop tables, so it can't delete your database structure. It cannot delete records or truncate data, so it can't wipe your customer history. It cannot create new tables.
So what can it do?
It's limited only to select, insert, and update operations, and specifically only on the lids table, nothing else.
That's incredibly specific. The blast radius, if Theta Coach's servers were compromised, is tiny.
Minimal and provable. An attacker with this key could maybe mess with current sales leads, but they couldn't erase your core data, steal other types of information, or destroy your schema.
That's a powerful guarantee. And the price for this paranoid tier?
Also free.
Wow. Okay, that is a game changer. They made robust, auditable security the default, free option.
Exactly. It completely flips the script. Security is the baseline, Maximum convenience becomes the trade-off you might pay for elsewhere.
This really addresses the core objection head on. But what about that initial founder's demand, the absolute zero trust requirement?
That's still there. That's Tier 3, the enterprise option. The zero trust, maximum paranoia, maximum compliance choice.
And how does that work technically?
Just like the founder wanted. Credentials, the access key, are never transmitted to ThetaCoach's servers. They live only in the RAM of the user's local machine.
So they vanish when you close the app, ephemeral.
Pretty much. Stored locally, in memory, cleared on exit. Pure client-side control.
What's the trade-off for that level of security?
Access methods. It primarily works via desktop-initiated requests where the key actually lives. Mobile access is generally limited to read-only cached views because the key isn't available on the mobile device itself.
Makes sense. You need to be on the trusted device. And this is where the $2,500 a month price tag comes back in.
Yes, but the justification is different now. It's not for the concept of zero trust security. It's for the significant engineering overhead, dedicated support, and the complex auditing needed to maintain that architecture at a level compliant with SOC 2, CPA, FedRAMP, etc.
So the cost is for the operational complexity and compliance guarantees at that highest tier,
Yeah.
not for the security model itself, which you can get the principles of for free in Tier 2.
Exactly. They're saying Paranoid Tier gives you fantastic auditable security for free. If you need us to manage the extreme end of zero trust plus handle heavy compliance burdens across your whole setup, that requires dedicated resources we need to charge for. It's a much more justifiable value proposition.
That shift is really the core of this whole deep dive, isn't it? From pay for security to pay for complexity management.
Absolutely. And look at the strategic messaging now. It's not trust us, it's verify us.
Right. Audit our code, self-host the NCP if you want, look at the SQL for the RLS key, and you pick the security model that fits your needs.
It creates such a stark contrast with traditional SaaS CRMs.
How so? Let's spell that out.
Well, in the old model, Salesforce, HubSpot, etc., your data and the keys to that data all live on their servers. If they have a breach...
The blast radius potentially includes all their customers' data. It's massive.
Right. With ThetaCoach, even in Tier 1, the data lives on your Supabase instance. You own the database. The blast radius is inherently limited to your data, at worst.
And with Tier 2, the paranoid tier, even if ThetaCoach's app layer is compromised, the attacker gets a key that's basically crippled by RLS.
They can't do much damage. Technical buyers see that Tier 2 offering free, restricted, auditable, and they immediately get it. It proves ThetaCoach understands their threat model in a way legacy providers often don't seem to.
So that initial failure, that painful lost sale,
It forced them into an architectural alignment that became their strongest competitive advantage. They transformed a weakness into proof of their integrity.
it really underscores the power of listening to that single demanding customer, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It led them to a new rule. Security has to be the default. Convenience, or managing extreme complexity, that's what can be the upsell.
They completely shifted the market expectation around data sovereignty and security in their space.
And it reveals something fundamental about any company, doesn't it? Where they put the price tag tells you what they truly value and perhaps what they think you should value.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener. When you evaluate a service, especially one handling sensitive data, look at their security model. If they offer a convenience mode that forces you to compromise on a core security principle like zero trust or clearly defined minimal permissions,
What does that choice reveal about their underlying architecture, their priorities?
and maybe more importantly, why should you settle for anything less than the strongest, most verifiable security your data deserves? Something to definitely mull over.